The number one mistake that lifters make after an injury is thinking that if the weight on the bar isn't going up, then they're not getting better. And it's true, load is an important measure of progress, but it's actually only one of 16. I'm Dan, physiotherapist and strength coach, and in this video, I'm going to show you 16 ways to measure progress in the gym so you know exactly how to keep improving even after injury. And spoiler alert, this stuff works even if you're not injured. To make this simple, I've separated these progressions into 4 blocks. How much total work your body can handle, how well you perform and own each movement, how you expand what your system can tolerate and make movements more demanding, and how strongly and surely can you express what you've actually rebuilt. So let's start with the first block. The first way we measure progress is looking at how much total work and exposure your body can handle. These are your volume-based progressions, the do more of it strategies. So the first thing we can do is add sets. If one week you do 4 sets of 3 and the next 5 sets of 3 and then 6 sets of 3 at the same load, this means that your body is tolerating more volume. You're exposing your tissues to more work and recovering from it, and that's building progress. Another way to build volume is to add reps. If you hit 8 reps at a given weight one week and manage 10 the next, this is a strong sign that you're getting stronger. The weight hasn't changed, but the tissues in question are handling more total work. We can also add weights. It's a very valid form of progression, it's just usually one that comes later. If you can safely add a little bit more load without changing symptoms or triggering some sort of pain response, that's a clear sign that you are able to tolerate more stress and you're getting better. The fourth thing that you can do is increase frequency of exposure. If you can train a movement twice a week instead of once, or go from every other week to multiple exposures per week, that's a sign that your tolerance and capacity are improving. You're ready for more total training across time. As a quick note, if you want a simple framework for this stuff, you should grab my free guide on navigating pain and staying strong. I'll put a link to it in the caption below. It walks through exactly how to take charge of your recovery step by step. Anyways, let's move on to the next block. Now, let's look at how well you own your movements. So the fifth thing that we can do is add a tempo. Slowing a lift down, say 3 seconds on the way down and 2 to 3 seconds on the way up, builds time under tension and control on each rep. If you can perform the same weight for the same reps but at half the speed, your muscles and joints are managing load for longer, and that's progress. Another strategy is to add a pause. Holding the hardest point, like pausing the bottom of an RDL, builds stability where it matters most. If you can pause for 3 to 5 seconds and still finish the reps cleanly, your body's stronger in that once previously vulnerable position. We can also focus on improving technique. The same weight with tighter form is a clear sign of progression. Finally, in this section, we can look at RPE, or your effort level. If 225 for 5 used to be an 8 out of 10 difficulty and now it's a 6 out of 10 difficulty, your system is doing the same work more efficiently. Lower effort at the same load means that you've adapted. All right, let's keep going. In this third section, we're going to talk about how to expand your capacity, making movements more challenging as your body gets stronger. These strategies help you handle greater demands, not just lift heavier weights. The ninth progression we can use is to increase the range of motion. Taking a box squat to full depth or a high handle trap bar deadlift to a low handle position challenges you through deeper ranges. More range under the same load means greater movement tolerance. Another way to raise the challenge is to increase the torque. Move the weight further from the working joint. For the low back, we can go from a sumo deadlift to a conventional deadlift. Or for the shoulders, we can go from an upright row to a front raise. If you can handle the same load but with more torque, your strength and control have improved. The next strategy we can use is to remove supports. Maybe you use straps on a deadlift and now you don't need them anymore at the same weight. Maybe for pull-ups, you decrease the amount of band support that you're using. Pulling or pressing the same amount of weight but without assistance means that your body is doing more of the work on its own. That's very clear progress. The final progression we can look at in this section is adding instability. For example, performing a single leg RDL on a foam pad instead of the floor forces your stabilizing muscles to react faster and work harder. If you can control the same load while everything's less stable, your coordination and reactive strength are improving. As a quick aside, if you're into this kind of breakdown, you should check out my weekly newsletter, the Propel Fitness Journal, where I share tips on pain science, injury rehab, strength training, and performance. The link's below, it's free, and it's a good read in between lifts. All right, on to the last block. Finally, let's talk about how you express the strength that you rebuilt and learn how to trust your body again. So progression 13 is moving faster. If you can perform the same lift with greater speed and control, that means that you're producing more power at the same weight and are moving forward in the right direction. Another sign of progress is increasing training time. Maybe early on in the recovery process, your session ends at the 20-minute mark because of fatigue or pain. Now you're training a full hour without issue. That's a big step in endurance and overall tolerance. The 15th measure of progress is confidence itself. Early on, you might hesitate before a lift and worry that it'll flare something up. But when you can walk up calm, brace, and move through the movement smoothly, your brain and body are learning to trust the movement again, and that's a real step forward. The final progression is pain. If a movement that used to cause discomfort now feels easier or completely pain-free, that's a clear indicator your tolerance and tissue health are improving. It's not the only metric, but it is one of the most satisfying to see improvements on. Progress after injury isn't just about chasing one number. It's about moving any of these 16 needles forward. But if you focus on what you can control and take one step at a time, you'll rebuild strength, trust, and momentum. Every time you move better, lift smoother, or train longer without pain, that's progress too. If you found this helpful, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive on rebuilding strength and training smarter after injury. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.